In broad daylight, a gloved hand slips a small gold-framed painting off a museum wall and hides it under a long coat. No mask, no alarm, no smashed glass, just a calm, well-dressed man walking out with a masterpiece. He was, as reported, the most prolific art thief in modern history. And what he did with everything he stole is stranger than any heist you have ever heard. Because this man never wanted the money. He stole hundreds of masterpieces over roughly 7 years, for one reason only: love. To keep the story clean, we will call him Only the Collector. A quiet, intense young man from the edge of France in the middle of the 1990s. He did not deal in stolen art. He did not have a buyer waiting in the shadows. Every thief in history steals to sell. He stole to keep. When he stood in front of a beautiful painting, as it was later told, he felt he simply had to have it. Not to own an investment, to live inside the beauty of it. And so, one small canvas at a time, he began to build a secret world of his own. This is the story of the man who stole for love and lost everything for it. His method, as reported, was almost insultingly simple. He did not target the great fortress museums with their guards and cameras. He chose small ones, country museums, cathedrals, quiet regional galleries across Europe. Places rich in treasure but poor in security. He would arrive in daylight, dressed like any other visitor, and simply blend in. He walked the halls slowly, patiently, learning the room. Which painting hung on a single hook? Which case had a loose back panel? Where the one attendant stood, and when their attention drifted. His only tool as it came out was often a simple Swiss Army knife. With it, he could work a screw loose or ease a frame from its fittings. And he rarely worked alone. His girlfriend, as reported, would stand nearby as a lookout, watching the doorway. A quiet cough, a shift of weight, a signal that someone was coming. Then, in a single, unhurried motion, he would lift the small painting off the wall. The little gold frame, no bigger than a book, sliding free of its hook. He would turn and tuck it beneath his long coat against his chest. And then he would simply walk out, past the attendant, into the street. No running, no shouting, no trace. Again and again, in town after town, country after country. Paintings, carvings, ivories, ancient weapons, silver. If it was beautiful, he took it. Over roughly 7 years, he did this more than 100 times and almost never got caught. So where did all of it go? Not to a warehouse, not to a vault, not to a fence in some back room. It went home to a bedroom in his mother's house. In an attic room, as reported, he built a private museum that no one else was meant to see. The walls, floor to ceiling, hung with stolen masterpieces in their gilded frames. Old master portraits, landscapes, the faces of noble women dead for 400 years. Carved ivories and silver goblets lined along the shelves. Warm lamplight glowing over a hoard worth, by some estimates, over €1 billion. And in the middle of it all, the collector simply sitting among his treasures. He would spend hours there, as it was told, just looking. This was never about being rich. He lived modestly with no fortune to show. It was about surrounding himself completely with beauty he could never legally have. A secret gallery for an audience of one. But an obsession like this does not know when to stop. Every wall was full, and still he wanted more. And the more he took, the more chances he gave the world to finally catch him. In 2001, in the Swiss city of Lucerne, his luck ran out. He had, as reported, just taken an object from a museum there. And then he made the one mistake a careful thief must never make. He came back. This time he was recognized, and this time someone called the police. The quiet man who had walked out of 100 museums was finally stopped. And as the investigation began, a far greater fear took hold, far away, at his mother's house. Because upstairs in that attic room sat the evidence of everything. What happened next, as reported, is the true tragedy of this story. His mother, it is said, decided to destroy it all, to erase any trace that could damn her son. Priceless paintings, centuries old, were reportedly cut from their frames and destroyed. Irreplaceable art, gone in an afternoon as if it had never existed. And the rest, the carvings, the silver, the goblets, as reported, was thrown into a canal, sunk into cold, dark water to hide it forever. Some pieces were later fished out of the mud. Much of it never came back at all. The exact fate of each work is still debated, but the loss is beyond question. Hundreds of masterpieces saved from museums only to be destroyed in secret. The collector had spent 7 years gathering beauty he could not bear to lose. And in the end, the one thing he could not protect it from was love of a different kind. He stole hundreds of masterpieces for himself and then watched them vanish forever. That is crooked genius.